Manhood, brought to you by Jameson, natural sources since 1922, and Racetrack.
So this is yet another episode, rather conversation of manhood. Today's topic is a really, really important one. One where we just discuss how does music affect generations. So from my generation, generations in the past, to our generation now. How is that music impacting the way we go about doing things and our safety, more importantly? And how are men and boys being affected? So I have a really great cast with us today. Johan Audike, behavior change consultant, KG, music producer, and Blaze, media personality, and myself, Robert. I just want to pay some attention to our really swanky set today. Really cool vibes.
Yeah, this is what it's made of. Racetrack, thanks so much. We love this. It's very comfortable. I feel like I am in the seat of my Ferrari. It's downstairs, Mm-hmm. It gives you the Ferrari feel.
PEE.
A P. You know what I mean? So well done to Racetrack, and I wanna take it from here immediately, Robert, because what we're going to discuss is an age-old argument. Mm-hmm. This is age-old. This is from my time when I used to play in parties in the 2000s with cell construction, and it had radioactive, and I have all these different things. And you used to say, well, look at the kind of music all they're playing, all they're doing sound killing, and so this is an age-old argument, and now it has returned for the next generation. Mm-hmm. So what I mean?
I just wanted to open with your definition, because I always like to make sure that we have some sort of definition to presence the conversation. So the definition that I would have seen with regards to the music, and it shows that studies have shown that music has the ability to influence mood, emotions, and even physical actions. For example, listening to upbeat, energetic music can increase feelings of happiness and motivation and may encourage a person to be more active and productive. On the other hand, listening to slow, mellow music can promote relaxation and calmness and may help to reduce stress and anxiety. Additionally, the lyrics of a song can also have an impact on a person's behavior, particularly if they contain messages related to social norms, values, and beliefs. For instance, songs that promote violence, drug use, or other harmful behaviors may encourage listeners to engage in those activities. So overall, music can have a powerful effect on our emotions and behavior, and it's important to be mindful of the type of music we listen to and how it may be influencing us, which is the topic of today. Mm-hmm. And specifically, we're not listening to slow music, we're not listening to love music, we're talking about music that's inciting violence. And how do we deal with that? Let's have the discussion as around. And KG, I know we've had these discussions a couple times where the discussion might have been around, well, you listen to music, as Blaze said initially, you've listened to music like that in your past. Mm-hmm. But what I would say to that is that music back then would have been about killing a sound, as Blaze mentioned. Right. It was always dancehall artists. You have your song system, and who could play a particular song or a performance that will kill that. So it was never about when we hear things like, whether it be Ninja Man, Beanie Man, and you hear things like Test My Sound, Killer Sound, Me Sound at the number one. All those are references to the music and not to killing someone.
Person directly.
And is it then that because what we hear is that's what that community knows, that environment, that music is part and parcel of that message, that's the sort of dialogue I'd really like to have here today. And it's not coming down on any one person. Yeah. It's a matter of just trying to have that understanding.
I mean, my point of view, as Blaze said, this is a conversation that we've been having for generations. My point of view on the whole violent music. I mean, it's a broad conversation. We could go deep and deeper into it. But I always look at it as the music is a reflection of society, not society is a reflection of the music. That is my only argument when it comes to this. Like, we cannot blame the artist for the crime. The artist singing about what they already know. So like for instance, I'm a quote-unquote Trinidad producer. You know, people will know me for producing a lot of Trinidad music. Trinidad is only 6 years old. Trinidad been this country since I was 6 years old. So how can we blame the music for what is going on in the country? And we very well know it's been happening. It's a systematic problem. It's not a musical problem. You know, that is how I will look at it. You know?
That's interesting what you say, because I was thinking about, as you're saying, music is imitate society.
Right.
So let's say, they saying art imitates life, and I was thinking, does life imitate art? And that's kind of the argument, like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first?
Right.
Right? And we may not ever get that exact answer. So I think is really understanding what influence music really has on society. Because we know for sure, let's go with research, but even personally, all of us has been influenced by some sort of music, right? From a child, right? Even a teenager. When we hear a song, most times if it's a song that resonates with us, we could complete the lyrics. Even if we don't actively say it with our mouth, it's in our brain. And then we know music instill some sort of emotion. So you feel good, sometimes you feel angry, you feel something. So once and human behavior is thought into feeling, into action. And once we get that connection, it develops and creates a paradigm. And if you have it enough times, it will create a habit or a behavior. So we know for sure, whether it is research or even personal, that it affects. So therefore now, we have to figure out if it's the responsibility, because I hear that often, it's responsibility of the artist to say things that right, quote unquote, or whoever decides right for society, or, which is sometimes my experience of life, I want to sing about that. I want to express that, whether it is a grimy way, is a happy way, is whatever it is. So is us this discussing who responsibility, quote unquote, is, and even us as men, how we are, our role as men in terms of the music and society.
And I hearing this, and I have been in the middle of this from ever since, because people will say, well, Blaze always, you all are announcers and they always DJs, all they playing that type of music, you know what I mean? And I always say, I listen to it too, because growing up, we listened to violent music. Bounty Killer didn't sing Kumbaya. Ninja Man himself, he sing badness right through. That's how he made his money.
I think he created.
He was part of that.
Yeah, that type.
And many people who we play that type of music and we listen to that type of music, we never turn it into action. You understand? So there is a point that we need to draw and understand. Well, okay, I could listen to the music, but I am responsible for my life, So if a song tell me, if the new song is jump off a cliff, jump off a cliff, jump off a cliff, jump off a cliff, and I really like jump off a cliff. I like the melody. It real nice. I like the verses. So I just supposed to just jump off a cliff? It's something too where we as well, we have to know, yes, this is happening, but we need to take responsibility for ourselves.
Correct.
We have to do that, because we can't just let things slide and say, well, I did it because of the music.
But I have a question though, do you all believe that a song can influence, let's just say for example, this is another opinion of mine, right? Another argument I have with a lot of people. I don't think a song, let me say Batman music as they call it, I don't think a song could turn a youth into a bad man. Meaning, you're bad. As we say it, he had no belly. Like we tell people these things from since we're young. He had no belly. He can't hit nobody. He can't shoot nobody. Because it's not, music don't influence. But I look at it, I never see a youth grow up as a good youth. Good youth to heart and listen to a Vibes Cartel and turn a murderer. Now, he might feel bad. He might go in the party and throw up gun sign. Little aspects of it might be there. But to say that the music is creating monsters, the monsters are already there. with or without the music. You could take off dancehall music and it will always have criminals. Is it amplifying certain things? Like, as I say, a man might go in a party and feel he bad. You know, like the lifestyle, the dress code, the way he might talk, the way he might wear his pants. But is it really, you know, now, boy?
But KG, I was discussing this, I think I'd mentioned to Blaze, where when someone says, that, you know, he feel he bad, if I pick up a gun or a bottle or whatever, or encourage somebody, at what point do you say I feel a bad? You're bad. If you do the action, or you're even thinking the thoughts.
Well, as I say, some of them not even doing no action. They just listening to the music. But the people who doing the action, the people who doing the murders and doing the kidnappings, do you all really believe that is music have these people doing these things?
But the music, music might be playing a part. If I am there and say, for example, you're drinking Hennessy, or you're all charged up. I remember growing up with music like AC/DC. And Metallica and Kiss, Nights in Satanic Service, and all these sort of real, what's it called, acid rock or hard rock.
Right.
You know, it would stir you in, put you into a frenzy.
Correct.
So it's not just the music, but it's part and parcel of that environment. So, for example, I went to Redemption, and I must note that Buju Banton didn't sing, even though the crowd may have called for it, songs like Bombay.
But he can't.
You know, he so
He can't. If he could have, he probably might have. But he can't.
But so he didn't. So the music, he didn't perform certain songs, and I was hoping that there was a changed environment, but a change of lifestyle. But if you're saying it simply can't, well, the point is that he didn't sing it, but there was music that I grew up on Buju Banton. So hearing that music in itself, and you know, people, let's say the little smells around and things like that, you know, the aromas,
romancing your nose.
you know, the romancing my nose, the environment, hearing Buju, and of course these artists who came out, they sounded just like, you know, they have no auto tunes or lip syncing, they just like it, and it put me into, like, you know, they say do I feel dread to be Rasta, you know, I felt at one. I also did a quick interview with Luciano, and we took a photo afterwards, and I did the sign, and I got some backlash for it on social media because people said, boy, there's a Rastafarian sign, how you going up with that? You know, Rasta, one thing, and I said, well, what's the issue here? So you heard about, you know, they don't eat meat, you know, they mightn't be on you know, into certain...
On folly.
You know, things like that. And one of the other things was that they're not on, you know, it was their understanding they're not on Christianity. Now, I don't know enough about Rastafarian to make that judgment, but to me, it was a connection, it was a vibe.
You was feeling it.
It was this
too.
Yeah, this is Luciano, the messenger.
But Johansi, let me ask. I mean, you coming from a place of
you have a point.
A studied place.
All right.
And I want to ask you this, right? Do you think, in terms of the music, as Robert was talking about, do you think the environment also would contribute?
So yes, so you said something before and KD said something before, and everything linked, right? Before you're saying we grew up listening to Bounty Killer, and he's no kumbaya music, and you use the word, it never made us do something negative, right? And I would give the caveat, not everybody, because I remember I listened to Bounty Killer and think to, and a lot of us in school, right? And most of us, it didn't do anything to us. But some men, it had them a little violent. Some men, they got aggressive. Even some men who we didn't think had it in them.
Right.
But got aggressive.
Scrape a bottle.
Something so, right? And then KG, you're saying you never see the music change somebody who typically grew up good.
I never really
into a bad
if
man.
If he did change, music was least of what we think changed that person.
Well, let me say, we don't know, but what the caveat is that you didn't change, or a lot of us didn't change because of the values that we grew up with.
Correct.
And that has something to do with our parenting and then our environment also. So the susceptibility to being influenced may have been lower for us because of how we grew up. So I'm putting that factor into it, because even what you're asking me about the environment, because the strength and the resiliency here is important. Now, what I've noticed since I was a child till now is the resiliency, the mental resiliency of the youth has dropped significantly. So if we're using that correlation with the music, because let's say there's always music that wasn't perfectly positive, right? Whether it is love songs, right? It had some real raunchy love songs back in the day, right? And even some violent music, whether it is, we want to call it modern or not. But back in the day, the susceptibility was less. So now, I think even putting that in the mix, why it is now even the youth are more susceptible. So art imitate life. So we see in the drug use, we see in the gangster, we see in the murders, right? That is evident. But now the youth, and I've noticed even and just quick, back in the day when Ludacris had come out with this song, Throw Them Bows, right? I was seeing people hitting people elbow, and I was like, but why are they doing that? That makes, I hear what Ludacris, and I understand the freedom and the wildness of it.
Right.
But not necessarily that it will stir me to actually hit somebody elbow. But I noticed people, they were hitting people elbow. So I noticed it had a certain degree.
Soca, pick up something, anything, the whole thing, Toro, all of these things are to get you to do a certain action.
Right.
So I am saying that the music plays a part. Yes, you're still responsible for your actions ultimately, but the music, people look at some of these artists as mentors, as idols, and therefore there must be a responsibility. But I want us to take a pause there and come back with that, with some further thoughts on that. So this is Manhood, and what we're discussing is how does music impact our generations? And some of the thoughts that we had, some differing in terms of, does music actually impact someone to be bad, or is it that they were bad already? And some of the concerns I would have expressed, and of course, you know, Johan say, and Blaze to KG would have been around the sense of that it does have some sort of additive, or it does impact in certain ways. As I mentioned, you know, listening to rock or listening to certain music. And Johan, you made a point before about some people may have, like I said, in my day was scrape a bottle, now is a gun. Listening to certain bits of music, they may be the few, but that the few would of maybe, as to what you said, KG, might have already been bad. I would like to say that even though we recognize that it must have an impact, in the same way the person has a responsibility to what they're listening to not act. But the music that somebody's producing, you know that you produce it with certain elements in there that are gonna get me, gonna play on my many senses, be it a woman doing, you know, a clap and things like that, you know, and all of these different things. There's a lot of sexual stuff in there, you know. Watching Blaze and you had to
Clap
so,
hands.
and so when I see that and I'm seeing all these signs, I would just like to presence, when I was growing up, one, there was also the fact that you didn't have access to firearms like you have now. It wasn't as readily available and in your face as you're seeing now. The other thing is, I am one of those that, even though I love the music, even today, only when certain, like coming to this show, or even friends before would mention certain things about the lyrics, that I recognize what the lyrics were. To me, I just enjoyed the beat and the vibes and the feeling it gave me, as opposed to really understanding what specifically they were saying. So even though there were areas like Ninja Man might have been really talking about, you know, killing a man, and now we see maybe some other other artists as you go along, very similar to Trinidad, maybe in Jamaica, speaking specifically about killing someone. To me, it was just about killing a song man, as in, you know, winning a clash. And I wasn't aware of maybe some of the other instances, like, you know, it was against a person's sexuality. It was just me enjoying the music, and yes, singing along to the music. And so, is it then, I feel like I sort of rambling on. Well, you know, it happens.
As
it's
usual.
It's our podcast. We're allowed to talk, right? That's what we're here to do. We're talking the things that come to your mind and talking it as plainly and honestly as it comes to our mind. And in this particular instance, as we're speaking about Trinidad, not to say that Trinidad is the only music that incites violence in many other genres. I'm saying that is Trinidad simply part and parcel of what they see, is
Of
what they
course.
sing about.
Of course. So, like I have so much arguments with a lot of people, who probably didn't come from certain backgrounds or whatnot. So they didn't really see what I would see, I just call Trinidad music self-defense music. Like when you listen to lyrics closely, not just listen to words, but listen to what they are saying. Somebody might say, if our boy violate, if our boy violate, we would do this. So most of the lyrics is like self-defense lyrics. And why I say self-defense is because growing up in these communities is a certain type of culture. The life that these youths live in is not the same life that a youth who grew up in a middle-class home or a upscale home. They live in amongst envy, greed, poverty, so many different problems going on in these areas. And like, for me, for instance, right, I'll give a story. When I was younger, I went to St. Joseph College. Right? Well, I passed for St. Joseph College. And I never knew where that school was. I didn't know anything about that school. And I didn't want to go to that school. I wanted to go QRC or CIC or, something where I could play intercol and be a good youth, basically, And I went to the school, and the first day I went to the school, the first day I went to the school, a man bashing a man's head on a wall. So I see in this 4 month, first day, I come from a private primary school, everything good. Parents know what's going on with the children, proper thing. And this school now was more violent. So it was like a shock to me now. Like, is this way? What kind of madness is this? And I remember going home and telling my mother, Mommy, the school mad. I don't want to go back to that school. But she just thinking I just talking, like, go back to school. But I know that school mad. So she basically, she never take me to school. So Form 1, Form 2, I going through school, I getting bullied, men taking my money. There's all kind of thing going on. Form 3, I decide I fed up. And as I say, if I can beat them, join them. And I basically, what I did in this school, I started to defend myself. Instead of just rock back and be like, I'm a good child, I don't fight, I don't curse, I don't do none of these things. I started to defend myself. I started to act like them. Because if I didn't act like them, every day I go into school, people hitting me, people doing me all kind of thing. Fast forward now into the society we live in today is the same thing. These youths who live in because most of the Trinidad youths come from the ghetto. They come from Lavender, they come from Beatum, Sealards. They grew up in a place where you can't be no punk, you can't be no imps, you can't be soft, you can't be going to the police and be like, hey, that man no thief my watch, because that make it worse for you. So they grew up in a society where they have to be like this. People mightn't look at it like that. A man might be like, why them sing all that gun thing and gun thing? Well, you go and live in the Beatum. The police going in the Beatum and Laventille with high-powered rifles, 3-4 jeeps. Why? Because they know this is a dangerous community. So we have to protect ourselves. If the police officers could protect themselves, we not supposed to protect ourselves. KG, who known as this producer, and so much people envying him because he producing for, I supposed to not protect myself? I supposed to go to the law and wait for them to protect me? So this is how these youths see things. They see things like, all you mightn't understand because all they live in all in a nice house and everything good. But we living in a place where I could walk out my yard and a man shoot me for my chain. So I have to protect myself. And through that protection now, it just creates, it's not right, but it is real. And it just creates a type of energy now where the youths and them believe that this is the life and this is just how the thing's set. Like I have friends that they able to go to carnival fetes normal. They go in fete and they whine and they drinking and them drunk in the party. Some of these ghetto youths don't even know about that kind of life because in their head, every time we go out there, there's some kind of madness now, because this is what we know. So we have to protect ourselves. And that's the only thing they know. So when they go in the studio now, they sing this kind of music. And the people who don't know about the life, they're just looking at it as violent music. But it's our culture, it's our lifestyle, it's something that they grow up from inception. That's all we know.
Is there hope? Is there hope? How do we reach those young men?
By supporting them instead of fighting them. Like I always be like, Trinidad was like an opportunity for the youths and them to do something, regardless of what I was singing about. It was an opportunity for them to just make a change within the community. Could have so many opportunities in the ghetto now, like so many youths want to be singers and producers and videographers and graphic artists, and they want to be in the industry through Trinidad now, but have a lot of unfortunate situations in the Trinidad. A lot of youths die and whatnot, and it gives the music a bad name. Not realizing, as I say, a criminal is a criminal, regardless if he was singing or not. If you're doing wrong things in your life, people will kill you. Nobody ain't going to kill no artist because he's singing gunman music. They're going and kill you because you're singing it and doing it in the real life. It's a lifestyle these youths running down now. And I think that is the only problem. It's not necessarily the music, because the Jamaican artists and them been singing the gunman music for years, and none of them ain't getting shoot. So we have to ask ourselves, how come they not getting shoot? And they create the gunman dancehall. How come we getting shoot? Because this is a problem in Trinidad that been happening. The murder rate been out of control since Abu Bakr days, So I guess we just have to continue supporting the youths. And I mean,
KG, I appreciate you sharing your story, because I think that more artists should be able to share their story to give context to the music.
Facts,
because
facts.
even outside of Trinidad music, when listening to other types of music, like we say, even rap, old school music, many times when you hear the story of the artist is born out of some kind of pain.
Correct.
Right? Even Eminem, if you remember Eminem music, right?
Correct.
It is all out of some kind of pain. And the truth is, none of us have a perfect life. All of us have something painful that we went through, that we also express in our art and whatever we do. Because even for myself in counseling, it is because of how I grew up, right? And one, having a platform, and even as men, this is something that we could consider, having a platform where the artists could be able to speak. So the same audience, whether they are susceptible to the influence or not, they could hear your story and be able to understand the context. And also, I want to say the solutions part of it, because in the music, yes, we might express the pain of it, but even how I approach my stuff is based on solution-based or solution-focused. Because the point, if you come into therapy, at the end of the day, you want some kind of solution at the end. So even in the expression of the music, is maybe the approach now could be something with a solution versus just what it is. Because even though the music and the approach may have stayed the same, that could be erroneous, because nothing stays the same. So if the approach of music before was different, we are in a new time now, so maybe the approach to the music could be different. Because before, music videos even wasn't a thing. Usually we hear it, right? So we hear it and we come up with our own interpretations based on our values, etc. But now we have music videos. So now that brings out even certain degree of realness to it. So even if I don't understand what he was saying before, I might not understand now, but I could see. So sometimes all I could do is imitate the action and to understand the impact of it. So I'm real happy that you share your story, and I even encourage that even more, and I would encourage the approach to be a little different, because at the end of the day, I think this could be my utopian view, but the point of anything we're doing, even manhood, is solution-based, is to make things better. And if we're going by stats, if we notice things not getting better, then we should do something different.
Correct.
I agree as well, and I also want to add to that in terms of music. What I think is happening with Trinidad, I like to say Trinidad, but it is what it is. But I think it's real. Now, when we used to listen to Jamaican music, what they were speaking about, and the areas and the people and the gangs, the Rima and the jungle, and we've always heard of these things. We didn't know it.
Yeah.
We didn't know it.
Yeah.
But
There's no connection. Yeah.
But when I hear, or when someone hears someone singing about a gangster here and an area here, like I remember I was hearing a Trinidad song a few years ago, and he say, if you think we go meet you outside C3 and lick off your head, and I know where C3 is.
Rebel 6.
Right.
You understand? Yeah, Rebel 6. I know where it is. So immediately it hit me different now than if they say, well, if we catch you outside Montego Bay. I don't really know where that is. So
Yeah,
I just sing any song now.
Yeah.
You know, so that's
It's
why.
not in your garden, so it's okay.
Right. So, but now I think that gives you the movement a more realness. And as KG said, remember, they're singing about real things. They're not singing about fake things, you know.
And
You
as
know
I
what I mean?
said too, music is a reflection of the life.
Of the life.
So
It's
Jamaica,
a real life.
like growing up, I always knew Jamaica was a dangerous place. Regardless how nice it was, you always knew because of shutters and all these things you're watching.
Yeah, those movies.
Like they are painting the real picture of where they are from. Trinidad now is a kind of fake island where we used to always project this carnival thing and the steel band thing when people die in human trafficking, drugs all over the place. Dog, Trinidad need to fix a lot of things, right? But coming up, they never advertise that to the people. We always try to make it seem like, now let's come down for the carnival.
We never expose the underbelly.
Never. We
that's what
hide
happened,
it.
you know.
We hide it for years. And Trinidad is literally the first time we literally say, well, you look at what's happening. And I've been real. Since Trinidad was created, everybody know what's going on now. All they didn't know was the boss's name and who's the boss in Beatam and who was the boss here. Nobody didn't know these things. So now everybody know.
But let me just ask one question. You think, though, in terms of as Johansi was saying, in terms of the approach of the music, I mean, we seeing that people dying, yes, but there are people who are posing. You don't think that there are men who are bad men.
Yeah.
You don't think that bad men posing as artists?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that is why some of the things happening.
That's why they're dying. That's why they're dying. So
these are
it's
men
not-
posing as artists. They're not
Yeah.
really artists, you know. They don't really love music. They're just bad men and they
They're
get
just
to
using
rhyme.
it. Correct.
So
correct.
that and all is something we need to also look at.
Yeah.
That we need to look at.
That is the problem. So like
And,
when
and I want us KG to further ventilate and discuss that point. We're just taking a pause, and that really is a good topic. Are we really still living in sweet TNT?
Hey friends, welcome back to Manhood, and we're all here, and we've got into a lot of great discussion from different forums and so on, and we continue here on CNC3, and I want to continue where I left off, KG, where I was making the point, and I observe, because you're looking at current affairs. I work on a urban station, and you look into these things, and you're hearing a lot of death, destruction, threats, everything around the Trinidad music. And you're looking at men who may be quote-unquote gangsters or bad men, and they want to sing. So they bring in that ill repute into the thing, into your session.
Yeah. And that is the problem. That is like my only problem. Like I did a video a couple of days ago that went extremely viral on the internet because of the things I was saying. A lot of people didn't like what I was saying. I was saying like the so-called bosses that we look up to in these communities, and like they're not really doing anything or whatever. But also I was saying that a lot of men coming into the industry to amplify the wrong that you're already doing in the life, and that is why you're seeing so much Trinidad youths dying, because the ones that are dying is not necessarily artists. They are gangsters that see a lane, because if you have all the guns already and you have all the chains and you have everything that the Trinidad industry
They love.
just go in a studio and sing a song, you understand? And I guess that is the problem that's going on in the industry right now that I don't really agree with, Lead the artist to be artist, lead the bad man to be bad man, Yeah.
Well, KG, truth is an important thing.
Real.
And I like how you said, that we may have been hiding things as a nation, right? And you highlighted the word underbelly. And for the only way for us to even solve anything is to understand the truth of it.
Truth, yeah.
And after exposing the truth now is where the solutions come. And to even take the courage to want to expose the truth puts yourself under the fire. And I believe, and that's my opinion,
Well
is
said.
that a man, that's the role of a man, each one of us have a certain skill set, a responsibility, even a certain power or influence over a certain part of society that we responsible for, and that DSA and those of you who are familiar with Jordan Peterson say a man should be able to die for whatever he believes in. So if it is your role or the role of Trinidad in its purest form is to expose the truth of it, then it may sound a little morbid, but we have to be willing to die for it.
Correct.
And that's how any change. Now, I'm not saying you should die for it, or that it's okay to die for it, but being willing to die for it because some of the opinions you share many people wouldn't like. And you'll put yourself under disrepute, danger, even actual threat to your life. And even us as men here, we speaking. The point is for us to speak honestly. And we may come under some kind of backlash because somebody disagree with it. But the point is, if you're committed to something, and even inspiring the youth, because the youths have a truth they want to also disseminate. And for us to even as elders, because we older, for us to even help them, we have to understand what's the truth of things and understand it. So I appreciate it, and I will say it again, I appreciate you saying this story.
Yeah.
And if now, and as Robert here said before, adding the element now of one, solutions. Two, if we know that there are elements that bring in the music to disrepute, is to expose it. And I saying that with a little apprehension, but also with conviction, because how else we will change things? You ask the question if TNT is still sweet. I think our rating went down on the happiest nation, right? And the truth is that a lot of us, and this is from almost 10, 12 years doing this field of psychology, counseling, behavior change in Trinidad, is that we tend to go from Carnival to Christmas. That is the drug. Carnival to Christmas, Carnival to Christmas. And even if I go statistically, when we're not in Carnival season, there's a high influx of clients coming for help. As soon as Carnival and Christmas come, clients go down because now we have the drug. And it was interesting. I remember one year, Ash Wednesday morning, I got a call 7 a.m. Somebody ready for a session because they already get the drug and the high of Carnival and Christmas.
He come down.
Right. And now they commentate. So I believe it's really important for us to say the truth of our nation, because the only way for us to really reach where we want to be, right? Vision 2020, Vision 2030, or wherever we want to go, is to expose the truth of things.
Yeah. I wanted just to touch on something you said there, Johanse, and I want to presence two things based on some feedback that we've seen on a couple of the episodes that have been shown already, or conversations rather, that we've had with Manhood. I want to presence, first off, when we discuss what it takes to be a man, we're not saying that a man has to be what is maybe be considered a manly man. Testosterone high and is good in sports, plenty girls, all of this. A man, as we discussed and we want to define it, is based on your value system. And being that man is based on having values that are accepted by society, and more importantly, the person which you have those interactions with, that you leave the room better than you found it. And that is what I think, from my perspective, we determine to be a man. And so when we go on values and our responsibilities, the second thing I want to presence is that we are not in any way trying to undermine or stop the movement of Trinidad, or that's the name of the genre, right?
Trinidad, yeah.
It's called Trinidad. And even that may need to change at some point, because if they call it Trinidad, you've already put that negative connotation on it.
I mean, is Trinidad culture, like we grew up saying that car real bad, that shoe
right,
real bad.
now I understand. So
it's
Trinidad in that
So it's
sense.
really Trini good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So if you say
Well,
something,
all right.
so like in my growing up, we would say that real sick,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So therefore, again, as even Johanse was speaking about, maybe KG, you as far as I am aware, the best or the number one producer of that music, the person everybody goes to, that we meet people where they're at. and have that understanding of, in the same way like I was just educated, the person's listening on here now educated as to what you mean by bad, as opposed to a bad man.
Correct.
And we're not in any way trying to cry down the music, because I've listened to a couple tunes and there is certainly potential and the beat and all the rest of it. What I'm saying to you is, right now, when we were growing up, and I'm still growing up, the area is that, as Blaze mentioned, I didn't know those areas, or I wasn't in the face of crime. The underbelly, as we put it, was hidden. And so the music was just about vibes. So even though the lyrics might have been bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good, it was still unknown to me. And I'm saying, but now, they always say, meet people where they're at. And with the fear that we are going through now of crime and gunman thing and any number could play, it's like a lottery right now, that you hearing that music is just going to, it is not in any way giving me pleasure. And it seems like what we're doing is further dividing the artist from the audience, in terms of the audience you may then want to get to, so that it may be played on radio stations. But that's not, because no sponsor or no person listening on is going to really feel good hearing that music, knowing that, hey, I now hear about 3 man get shoot. So I'm saying that, could we look at maybe recognizing that, acknowledging that, and even somehow explaining more, this, as you mentioned, you all discussed it again, it was another educating moment for me, which is that it's a story. But to me, I look at the video and it just comes across, as opposed to them telling the story of what they see and what they know, it seems as if they're saying, I am going to do this to you, and all the signs like that.
I can say one thing too.
Of course, yeah.
Also, people need to understand that everything is stages. Like we grew up listening Jay-Z, 50, all these people, and they start singing a certain type of music when there was any hood. And then they became successful and the music changed. So that's why I say, like, we have to support the youths.
Agreed.
A youth will always start singing what he know. All I know is this. So I would say, I never been to Hyatt, I never been to America, I never been to... So they can't sing about these things. They don't know anything about these things. All they could sing about is what they see in the community. The more we support them, the bigger they will get. The more the radio stations continue supporting them and stop pushing the narrative of, hey, them singing gunman music, because the reality is all of us listen gunman music. So like we just stop fighting down the local youths, because, for example, Prince Wani, he is like the mecca of Trinidad. He start the hype. He come out with the big up the B's and big up the C's. But today, he not really on that. He more doing collabs with Kodak Black, and, he doing bigger things,
Because he came out.
Yeah, and the reason why he got so big is because we had the support of Trinidad at that particular time. Before all the deaths started to happen and people, as you say, people started to get scared and started to pull away, and we had the support, so we was getting the 10 million views and 15 million views, and because of that support, we was literally as big as the Jamaicans. So the Jamaicans was coming to Trinidad to collab with us, because they was looking at Trinidad as the new dancehall hype. Then the killing started to happen and whatnot, and the people started to divide, and now it kind of come back down.
So how do we get it to, as we have calypso and we have soca, how do we get that to be another genre that globally people will want to...
Support, as I say, like support. Like I personally do not like when we try to fight them down, like we try to bring down the name, like if we do not listen to this music internationally. Why is it a problem? As Blaze say, is it because it close? That is why we don't want to support it, because it close.
It could be, one, because it close, because we generally humans, like those Trinidadians, a lot of times we uncomfortable when our shortcomings get exposed, and not to say even exposed privately, because sometimes we lie to ourselves, but especially publicly, right? And that's why I was saying I appreciate it. So you would have a backtrack. Nah, that don't happen. I don't know anything about that, but you're listening to the music, right? So that's one. Two, you're saying in terms of support, right? And that's why I'm glad you're even on this forum, because based on the feedback thus far, even from the area of the first conversation that we've had, there are lots of people support. Even on my way here, some people stop me and say, you know what, I didn't even know men these things. I didn't even know men going through these things. And of course, each man here is in a different field. So in your field, the opportunity for you to be able to tell your story again, and I go in each artist. Now that we're in an age where we have podcasts, we have YouTube, telling a story could be even part of your format now, so that people understand it. And then if I go back, I remember I was analyzing. This might sound a little strange, but I used to analyze things a long time, right? So I was analyzing Sizzler music at that time. And from when he went to Black Woman and Child to Pump Up Her, right? I was wondering, okay, why he did that and even what's the impact? And doing some research, when he was singing the Black Woman and Child type music, the crime rate in Jamaica actually went down.
Yeah, it did.
Right?
Yes.
So
Right.
there's actually statistical evidence to prove.
Correlation.
Right? So even understanding that, and even he used Prince Swanee, even him could also be part of the revolution of changing things, because he could telling his story, or him telling his story, because just like Jay-Z, when Jay-Z came with Beyonce, now it's a different type of music here, but they're telling the story,
Yeah.
whether it is musically or interview-wise.
I think
So-
that's a major problem. The youths in the local industry. Again, we don't really have much platforms. Like when I see this, I was like, this is what we need. You know, we need more of these things. The other day, the Fix from Jamaica came down. I don't know if you all know about the Fix. That's a Jamaican podcast. Yeah. They came down and they interviewed the whole of Trinidad. You know, and they were actually doing a documentary about Trinidad, and they was getting all the key elements in Trinidad, and people was coming and telling the story. You know, Swanee come and tell them where he come from, hunger, this, that, and, you know, people felt it. People was like, all right, cool. Toppy Boss came on and he talked about the crime and what going on, so people started to understand a little more. You know, I came out, I say certain things, people understand. So I guess we need more support, and we need more platforms for the youths, for them to be more creative, not just go in a studio, sing a song, put it on YouTube, it go on all day, 2 man get shoot tomorrow. No, we need a little more belly, but we need it from people like y'all, you know, people who have that type of influence out there, because these are ghetto youths. These are not, you know, youths that know what they're doing, you know. These are youths that come last in tests. And as I know, say, they're in the back of the class, but they get opportunity to do something. So we know who have the mindset that I just try my best, because I know, you know, I little more intellectual than them. You know, I didn't grow up in no Beatam or Silas. No, my mother and them try to, you know, put a certain foundation for me. That's why I could speak the way I speak today. So all the youths in Trinidad, I always sit down with them and I talk to them and I try to mentor them, and regardless of the gunman music, I try to put some things in their head. You know, simple things as getting a passport, you know, getting a visa, showing them some things on my phone. Hey, look where I went. Look at LA, look at Miami. You see that boy? That's
To elevate.
Elevate.
because they don't know, and that is something I notice about them. They literally don't know nothing.
Don't know. And in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eye man is king, and what you focus on is what you see, and what's in your environment. As we said, what they see is what they're singing about, but it needs to become more of a story of letting us know and exposing that underbelly to everyone, to be able to, for both parties on both sides of the fence, to understand and to elevate and to bring Trinidad and Tobago back to where we all wanted, because we want it to be a safer place. I don't think they want to be doing what they're doing or be in the environment they're doing, but we have to ensure that we're meeting each other, and we're not. I remember one friend of mine in doing research said that a lot of persons go into these environments or try to do these give backs, but they do it from the position of, guys, or you just stay where all you are.
Correct.
Stay there. So we want to help you enough so you don't come into my environment or my homes. So you're not doing it. Your position is still work out of fear, and you still those environments, those communities receive that, and they know that. And therefore you become more and more feral as you go along, generation to generation, not understanding maybe what was the what may have started everything from the embryonic stages of it. And now as you grow up and you're into those environments, you just become more, you're surviving. We mightn't see it as surviving because our survival is different.
Correct.
Their survival is that, and they're singing of that. So they, as you said, most persons might even know what they're singing is of that environment. To them, this is normal convo. But I want to personally end end on that note for me. As part of my wrap up on this particular conversation of manhood, which I thought was very, very insightful. And I want to go around the table with everyone having their closing thoughts. And KG, if you could, you normally have these inspirational messages that I know that you send to the community. If you will do us a solid today as a brother and close off after everyone has gone around the table. And we'll certainly like to welcome you back to have these conversations as we continue. So Blaze, Johanse, you'll...
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Right? You know, they say knowledge is power. So the more we understand, even what Trinidad is the more that we could even assist as men. Iron sharpening iron, having your brothers back. Because as Robert was saying, I believe that all of us want a better Trinidad and Tobago, a better world for us to live in. As cliched as it may sound, the thing is, I want to be able to walk the street in a gold chain anytime I want because that's what I like. I want my children to be able to do that. I want to see your children do it, right? And whatever we could do to better understand it, because I'm sure even people listening to today's conversation got some new knowledge into what even Trinidad is and understanding your story. And even now, they could even analyze, even outside of us, how they could help, what solutions are possible. So, KG, thank you, and I actually look forward to even hearing the story of some of the other artists, right? So we could understand exactly how we could help, not just as men, but even as brothers and as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
And recognizing, Johan, say that they too are our brothers and sisters.
Correct.
We're all part of this. We're all part of being Trinidad and Tobago. Please.
Well, the thing is, I totally agree. And you know what? I mean, this segment, this conversation is far from finished.
Correct.
You know, I mean, we could discuss so much more about the elements of the music, the elements of why the music is like that, how it affects people. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg that we're discussing here. I would encourage to probably have KG on again later on, or bring a partner or something like that and see how that would happen. But we also must, in terms of music, how it affects people, it is age old. I mean, there's a story we all know about the Pied Piper. That story is a story we grew up with, and we saw what the Pied Piper can do. And that is music, you know. So we have to always be careful. But we as a society and we as people and we as leaders of our homes and so on, we must also take a responsibility to look at the youth and the next generation, because we are not without fault. We can't just blame it on the music and say, well, it's the music, you know, because we had to be better parents. We have to be better parents. We have to be better fathers. We have to be better uncles. We have to be better people, you know, because we have to take part of the responsibility too. Because even when I was in my music phase, and I like my music phase, I always tell the story. I remember Chaka Dima singing Young Girl Business Control Jamaica.
Yes.
And my mother said, no. You understand? We as parents have to do that too. So the artists can sing what they want, you know. But we have to also filter.
That is the truth.
You know what I mean? And
Well
the more we filter, they realize, well, they're not really taking to this, you know. This is what going on here. When Sizzler was Sizzler in 95 and 96 and thing, I know plenty partners who I grew up with, they turn Rasta.
Yeah.
Or for the music.
Conscious.
You know what I mean?
True.
So we have to be careful, and we can't just cast blame on the music alone. We can't just cast blame on the artists and the producers alone. We also have to be better. And I'm talking in terms of men. We have to be better men.
Yeah.
And we have to show the example, and we have to set the pace and say, this is not what it's supposed to be, or this is the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So I was really happy because you hear the next side too.
Yes.
It's very important to hear the three sides. You know?
It will always have different sides, you know,
Yeah.
and that was like my when I started to really push the whole Trinidad movement, that was like my whole aim. I grew up in a country where if I wanted to be an artist, I had to be a soca artist. But I don't like rum, I don't like hot sun, You know, like that is me.
Yeah.
You know, so it was hard for me to be creative because I always used to look at it like, why my country so boxed in, and why we hiding every, like even the reggae all stars, like they just disappear. I grew up listening to this music. I wanted to be a reggae artist, and as soon as I was the age where I could have been a reggae artist and grew my little locks and thing, the luck of that, you know. So it was like real stifling, and I know a lot of creatives could agree, as in we feel very stifled as creatives. You know, we feel like we have to choose one thing to get through in Trinidad, or we have to be a certain way to get through. We have to speak a certain way. Like I remember the days when we used to have to go on the radio station and we couldn't even talk Trinidad dialect. But the Jamaicans would go on their radio station and be like, yeah, boy, blood, and yeah, me have to go down the road and thing. And people used to look at that as, that is how the artists talk.
Yeah.
But in Trinidad, we had to be like the and the, and, you know, because we
Shy away
so
from
caught
it.
up in how it look and what it really is. My vision was never to promote violent music, because I always tell people that Trinidad is not only about violent music. You know, it have a lot of other music in the Trinidad genre, but you know, the thing does go. People love the action thing. We love the John Wick. We love the Call of Duty. We love the Batman music. We love action thing, you know. And that is what really sell the Trinidad genre. But the mission was never to promote violence. The mission was to promote reality and to promote what is really going on in the inner cities of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, so thank you for being here. You know, I appreciate it, I must say. You know, I always appreciate platforms where I could, you know, just bring the other side to the coin. You know, so, yeah, man. Big up on yourself.
Thank you,
Yeah,
KG.
man.
It was a very, very insightful conversation. Nothing more to be said on my part, but a lot still to be said on this topic. So, KG, we certainly want to have you on set again. And
I would like to go on a Trinidad set too. I want to see.
Yeah.
see
I
what
wanna
it's
see.
like behind the scenes.
And I think that's another thing too.
And it's a love. It's a love. it's
That's
a love.
another thing. Remember, you see it on videos and thing, but being really get to go and see it now,
Yeah,
to be
people
part
would-
of it.
Yeah,
then.
people would look at it and be scared. And
Yeah,
like
I
always tell
would want to
people,
see.
I
Yeah.
just feel so safe in these communities. The only thing that bringing down these communities is the crime, you know. But there's so much love in these communities. Beatum, Sealats, Lavante. There's so much love. When you go into these communities, you just realize that this is the real life here. You know, families in the road, children playing football, cricket is love. It's not like how the
I could tell you firsthand.
Yeah.
I've been to what people say some of the darkest communities,
And it's love.
and
Vibes.
never had anybody come
Never.
apart from say, boy, hey, the sportsman, boy.
Yeah. A
And
matter
I
of
know.
fact, people like you all would go into these communities and think that they might want to rob all you.
Not me,
No, they
I
actually
feel-
appreciate that. When
I-
they see KG coming
yeah.
with a camera, them happy. Them don't take my
yeah.
camera. They want me to put it on and
Yeah.
put it on them.
No, I'm saying that my experience has been quite the opposite. I don't feel fearful.
That-
You know,
that-
I've
no,
never
no.
gone through even all the back
Never.
roads and the people talk about. I'm like, hey,
Never.
you know, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. But my point is that there are people that feel that way. We can't ignore that the violence and crime is happening in
Of
Trinidad and
course.
Tobago, and this genre is being perceived as contributing to that. So the point of the conversation today is it was very good convo and hearing all the sides, and I'm certainly better off for it, is to understand where the vision of the music is and how we can do better to be able to get to that vision, you know, to see that vision.
Yeah.
So once again, you know, good conversation, another really insightful episode of Manhood. Yohanse, always a pleasure. KG, welcome anytime, brother. And Blaze.
I think I remember a time you were fearful somewhere, you know, and you had called for rescue.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So that's where
I'll
the conversation
give only the
starts
story.
to go
Only
downhill.
story. He was fearful somewhere.
Manhood, brought to you by Jameson, natural sources since 1922, and Racetrack.